Hey everyone, welcome to another video in our metal shaping series. So if you guys have missed what has been done so far, we CNC routed this wood buck for my RS model. This is going to be built both in a roadster and coupe configuration. Those are actually the two builds we're working on right now. And what we've done since finishing the buck, we've done a little bit of metal shaping in one of the earlier episodes. We've built out the flanges around each of the door openings. And today I want to show you guys the technique that I use for doing a wire edge around this rear engine deck lid opening. So let's get right to it. So the process of laying out this surround is going to require making some patterns or templates. To do so, I'll use paper. I'm going to use this AccuArc adjustable spline tool to help define the radius that goes around the back here and transfer that onto paper. And then the actual wire edge is going to be done in 1/4" steel with tabs welded on at every rib. So let's go ahead and start out by laying out the pattern. So I'm going to lay out half of the deck lid, and I'm going to start in this specific area here. Then I can take my pattern and transfer it over onto the other half of the deck lid. So these ribs act as a guide at each one of the end points, but I still have a little bit of guesswork to fill in the gaps here. Now, on our digital files, we have the exact information that I need. But for me to take those digital files and print them out is really not timely. It'll be just as quick for me to lay out the paper, make my template, and just cruise with it from here. So here I am just marking each end of the ribs as a reference point that will guide me as I use the AccuArc adjustable spline to lay out the actual radius of the curve. All right, so now we have a good starting point for this portion of the deck lid. I will carry the shape through all the way to the forward portion of it, and then that'll give me a guide to shape this rod to. One of the most common questions I have on these videos is how I shape the tube bucks on my car. And this is going to answer that question. I'm going to use the same tool that I used to shape the tube buck to shape the wire edge on this opening. All right, so this is the tool that I use to shape my radiuses for the tube bucks. I'm going to use it, as I said, to shape our wire edge. I've got my template laid out on the table right here. So I'm going to start by laying this out on my template and mark exactly where I need to start my radius. Then I'll bring it over to the shaping station and figure out which radius matches best and start the forming process. So my initial bend is going to start right here. I made a second note at this area, this rib, because this is where the material is going to move into a much more drastic or tighter radius. Because this is a progressive radius, meaning it's not just one simple circle, it's a series of radiuses that get tighter and tighter. I'm going to actually start out up here on a more broad radius and work my way in to the tighter area. So you can see I'm just doing real light bumps on this And I can kind of see where it's adding the radius, and I go just beyond that for my next bend as I pull down. And then this is where it tightens up, so I'm going to move down to a tighter radius, probably down in here. I've got each of these numbered as well when I want to get real scientific about things. And the nice thing with the steel is that you can open it up quite easily. Actually, I can get it over on the buck and open it very, very easily. Whereas aluminum, you only get so many redos and then it starts to get brittle or you need to anneal it. And I can just pull that up a little bit. So we're looking good up to here, and then it gets too tight. So I'm going to put it in backwards and just open it where I see it starting to get tight there. Okay, now we're good up to here. And then I need to get in on a tighter radius. It's going to be about like that. And then I know that this one's going to have to be opened quite a bit up in here. And this is going to define the rear deck lid opening. So kind of keeping all of that in mind as I'm doing this, how I want it to end up. Got a little bit of a kink right here. So we'll just go ahead and reverse that, bump that kink out, because I want it to be a nice smooth flow. Now we're getting really close now. Just about got it, according to the paper. The truth will be when we get it up on the buck itself. So I need a little bit more out here. And I'm not going to actually use this full radius. I'm just going to use it to kind of bump this down. If you can see that, we've got it matching really nicely. We'll take it over to the buck now and lay it out. So let's check out how this fits. Now the material does have some flexibility to it so that I can massage it a little bit, get it to fit exactly where I want it. And it's looking really good. My goal is to have it intersect the different rib points on the buck. And what I will do is come in and notch this out so that the wire sits flush with the top of the buck. Looks like it's going to work out really nicely. Just a little bit of massaging here and it lays right where I want it. So I'm going to go ahead and build a matching piece for the other side, and then we'll finish out the front section and the radius is around the front corners as well. And now I'm just going to go along and mark each side of it so I have an idea of where this will get notched at. In here, we're just going to do a full radius. Let's see where it lands. Okay, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. It's really good. This one will get trimmed right there. That one will get trimmed right there. There we go. There we go. So here I'm setting up my final weld for the wire edge, and then I'm going to go ahead and mark out each of the areas that are going to get notched for the wire edge to lay flush. I can now remove the wire edge, and then I'm going to go ahead and sand out each one of these little grooves for it to sit in. So using my right angle sander, I just notched out each one of these ribs, and now the wire edge will sit nice and flush where it needs to go. Everything is looking good. Now it's time to cut some tabs so I can weld them to the wire edge and then mount it to the buck. I work my way around the wire edge, welding tabs for each rib to be a mounting point. I'll then drill holes in each one and fasten it to the buck itself. I work my way around the buck, fastening each one of the tabs to the wooden ribs. Now it's time to test fit the rear deck lid station. I have a feeling it's going to be tight because I haven't trimmed anything off yet. And sure enough, I'm right, it doesn't fit. So I'll need to bring it outside and set up a place to sand it down. I couldn't be happier with how this all came together. It's going to be really nice to be able to define both the deck lid parameters and the surrounding panels off of this wire edge. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.